Once you have your customers and your products set up in the app, you're ready to begin learning more about the operations area. We're in the operations dashboard right here, and this is where you and your team will spend a majority of the time in Roaster Tools, because this is the place where we're going to be processing all of the orders that come in. So the first thing you want to start with is looking at the orders coming in. There's obviously a couple different places to do this from. Some people like to look, there's the orders tab at the top over here. We can also look at some of the orders. We've got scheduled, commerce, and import orders. I'm going to go through these buttons in a minute, but I'm just going to pop over to show you. Sometimes people like to, before they are in the operations tab, they look at their orders from this page. So here we see pending orders, ready orders, and then once they're fulfilled, they're here. Once they're shipped, they move there. Canceled, payment overdue. You can see all the tabs. Most accounts, their status is automatically sent to go into the pending tab. Right now in the demo, I don't think I have anything in pending, but I will shortly, and I'll show you. Any orders that might auto-import from your commerce connection, if you have one of our new direct connections to your commerce platform, such as WooCommerce or Shopify, orders that auto-import come into pending right away. Also, orders from the portal will go into pending as well. We can approve them from pending that move into ready. And you can see it's telling us what the source is. The source is sales, that's the portal. We're going to go back. From this tab, you can go to your commerce orders to import orders if you don't have them on auto import. And you can also view in case there's one that you need to map. So you can do it from this screen or from our operations screen. We like to do it because depending on your company and if there's numerous people in different roles, we like to make sure people can access the information that they need when they need it. From this screen, this import is on my demo. If it's not in your account, that just means that it's okay. This is for when people were using the ShipStation integration to bring in orders. It is not as powerful as our direct commerce connection, and we had a lot of issues with imports failing, and then you couldn't re-import them once you mapped it. So it was just more challenging. So we have this new one, but I always have this in there in case there's an account that I'm talking to that has it. But for you to set up, if you have a direct connection to your commerce orders, you're going to look here and you're going to go to commerce orders. It's going to take us to this page, and it tells us that we had some that were not importable. 43 is really high. Usually you wouldn't have that many, but it also is telling us what's ready to import. So if you do not have auto import on, you will be manually importing them. First, what I would do is I would go to your not importable ones, and you can see right here, you can just click the little I, and the issue is that these products aren't mapped. So I'm going to just go and map them. Be like, oh yeah, this 2 pound, that's the one that it's for, and I press save, and then I map this next one. It's another blend, and I'm going to map this one. So I'm not looking super carefully, but you want to map the entire variant. 2 pound whole bean, make sure that it's correct. You might call them a little different on your commerce page. That's like on your website. If you call it one thing, it might be called a little bit something different in Roaster Tools. Whatever you map it to it's going to work. So just know that. Now you can see that the status of this went to importable, okay? And not only did it change that for this order, but I think it had 6 orders were ready to import before. By mapping those 2 products, I now have 13 that are ready to import. You'd want to finish that with any commerce orders that came in that weren't mappable. Once you're ready to import the orders, you can either select them one by one, or you can do a select all, and then you can import the selected. Okay, so this import started. We're going to be bringing those orders in so that we can then process them. And if we go back to our operations page, okay, so we can see here, if we went to our orders, we now have 12 orders in pending because, like I said before, any commerce orders that come in, they go into pending before they would go into the ready status. So we're going to go to operations, and we've checked our commerce orders. If you don't have a connection and either you're importing through ShipStation, you can do it that way, or you can always manually add an order. Say you talk to one of your wholesale accounts on the phone and they're not placing their orders via the portal, but they're calling you. You might come here and you're going to say, this is for Jean's Bakery. She called and she's got an order. It auto-populates with all of that customer information. And then she would like the half-calf blend, and she's going to get 3 of those. And I'm going to create that order, okay? It's really easy to create orders. As you can see, that was just from this. This is a quick manual button. You can also create orders from there. And now we're in operations. We know that we're good with our orders. We've got everything in for today. And we're going to look at this schedule orders page. The thing you want to always think about on this page is that you're always going to do looking at your orders, then scheduling them, count, and then plan. You always do them in that order, okay? So think of this as a checklist that you go down. You don't want to skip any. You don't want to like not do them. So we're going to go through and we're going to move on to our scheduling orders, okay? Scheduling is where we're deciding what we want to roast today. This is where in the app you have a lot of, you're really manually being able to say, is this too big of a day for me? Did the orders that come in, are they beyond what we could actually roast? I need to move some to tomorrow. Or you might say, gosh, it's a really light day. I'm going to pull some orders that I think that usually I roast on Thursday. I'm going to pull that to today, Monday's order roast day. So you're able to move things around. I'm going to change the view to this week. Okay. And what we're going to see here is first we have our pending orders. So that's all of the ones that went into that auto status. And we can only pull that in to know that we want to produce them by approving them. And so we can't produce them until they're approved. So you'd either approve one by one, or you can approve all the orders. You select that, update. If your customer is assigned to a certain roast day, it will go to that roast day the next Tuesday or Wednesday, whichever day they're assigned. Just know that it doesn't automatically go to today. If your customers are not assigned a roast day, it will go to today. So you can see for today, we have 33 orders, okay? And so I could look at this, and if I select all 33, we have this nifty little thing on the side here called the demand calculator. And this is telling me at a very high level what's on the docket for today. So it's telling me this is the pounds of green coffee that I'll need to be roasting today as an overall pounds. And then I can click it and it's telling me for each type of coffee, how much I need. And then I can use my little carrots here. I can see the green and then roasts. So how much of each roast do I need? This is where, if you had pre-blends, they become a roast. And so it's not just the green coffee. So here's the roasts that I need. Here's how many blends you're going to be blending up. And then on a variant level for labels, how much of the 12-ounce whole bean do I have today? You can see there's 17 packages you're going to need. And this is at, the grind and bag level. So you can get a really high level overview of what you're going to need to be doing. Okay, so there's 367 units. This is where you might say, gosh, this is more than I can handle today. And so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take one of my bigger orders and I'm going to just unselect these. And I'm going to say, this one, the Star Coffee, I want to move this one. So I can drag and drop, but my other days are pretty far away. So I'm just going to select the one, and it's telling me this is how much it's just the Kenya. Well, I might say that's not going to help me that much. But this one's really big. That's $1,000 order. Let's go to this one. Let's go to Endearment. Okay, this has got, a smattering of things. I'm going to take that off my list for today. And I'm going to move that to tomorrow. Okay, so I just move it to the next day, update the order, and it's moved. And now I have less demand for today. And so now I don't have to roast quite as much. So it's really important that on your orders page, in the schedule page, this is where you are moving around what you're going to choose today. Anything that is in this square is what we're expecting that you are going to produce today. So just know if it's not for today, move it to a different day. I'm going to go down here and just show you. You can also very easily move this order to the next day. Just drag and drop. So it's another easy way to just move things around. So you don't have to select them in terms of approving anything for roasting for today. The other thing is you don't have to go back to that operations dashboard. From here, you can just say, okay, I just scheduled my orders. Now I need to count. Counting is part of inventory. So the count pages are only looking at the inventory of what you have demand for today. That means, these are the coffees that you're going to be using today. And if there's coffees that you have in your lineup, but you didn't have any orders for today, they will not show up here. Okay, so you can see we have the count up here. Then we have roast, blend, package, bundle, and other. So this is a theme you'll see in other pages as well. What this means is we're counting how much roasted coffee we have inventory for. And when we say roasted coffee, we are thinking of it in terms of a bulk bin. It is not packaged yet and ready for sale. That inventory would be in this section, okay? So the demand here, this is the total amount of coffee that is needed for the orders today. So every time we talk about demand is what we expect that you need to produce today. We want to, fulfill the demand. And so, and you can see in light gray here, that's roasted, because we know it can be confusing that there's a green weight and a roasted weight because of the percent of weight loss. So for today, your demand of this Brazil medium roast is 78.86 pounds roasted. And the inventory is what the system thinks that you have on hand. We think you have 25 pounds. Now this count page, the whole point of what you're doing here is you're saying, okay, well, I want to know, do I have the same amount that the system thinks that I have? So you want to look and you want to see, do you have 25 pounds? We know that a lot of times, in roasteries, like the cafe comes and grabs some coffee, or you take some home, or, customers stops by and you're giving away, some bags for them to try. So we know that just because the system didn't account for it to walk away doesn't mean that it's that the number we have is correct. So we have this ability before you start roasting to adjust it. The reason we do that is because we will take this number, the 25 pounds, and we will include it. You will know that you have 25 pounds, that you don't have to roast as much today to meet the demand. And so that's our next step is planning. And so that's why we want to make sure this inventory count is correct. Usually, once you get going, this step should not take you super long. Most roasteries, a lot of times they already have a process for this. They do it at the beginning or the end of the day, whichever works for you. And so you're just sort of going through each of these sections to make sure that they match. If they don't match, say you actually only have 20 pounds, you can update that here. You can see that means there's a 5 pound adjustment, and I could just go there to press update inventory. The other thing that I can do, you can see that now it's adjusted to 20. I can filter it by roasts by demand greater than 0. Or not demand, I want to go by, inventory greater than 0. So a lot of times you'll say, well, I don't have that much inventory, but I just want to look at the things that it's telling me I have inventory of. So now my list is shorter, and it's saying these are the coffees that I have inventory of, the system thinks. And so then you can just, double check those. That filter will stay as you go to these other pages. So if you want to take it off, just know that. We're then looking at the blends. So what have you already blended up? First one was the roast in bulk. Second is the blends in bulk. And then the third one is your packaged coffee. So this one is telling me that we actually didn't have any packaged coffee inventory because there was nothing there. So I took the filter off just to make sure. And it's saying that you have a lot of demand, but you don't have any inventory of these packages. So if you actually do have inventory, this is where you would update that. And again, these are at the variant level, bag size and grind. Okay. It's really important that you look at your other here. This is what you have demand for. So it's saying that in our orders today, we sold this t-shirt. There's 2 units and we don't have inventory. If we don't adjust this, well, that means that we might not have been tracking our non-coffee product inventory very well. And so, we can talk about that later, but you don't think about that. But we're going to adjust this to say, oh no, I have those 2 on hand. Otherwise, the system won't let us fulfill it because it says you don't have inventory. So we're going to update that. So always double check your other. This is the one place to fulfill that before you get going for your day. The bundle is similar. I don't think there's any bundles in this demo order, but this is where it would show you if there's a bundle order, update the inventory on that as well. Okay, so that's your count page. So far we've checked our, we've input any more orders that we need to before we start our operations and planning. And then we looked at the orders and we were scheduling them to make sure we want to fulfill the orders that we have on the plan for today. We did our count, and then we moved to plan. Planning has this nifty little thing, the abacus, okay? This is saying, have you planned, the question we ask ourselves, have you planned enough tasks for today to meet the demand? Okay, that's what we're thinking of when we look at this. The red means no, you have not planned enough for today. The green means, yep, you're good. Whatever you've planned for today, you can fulfill it. Now remember, I said we don't have any bundles, so that's why we can fulfill it. You could go and you could manually adjust everything here and say how many batches that you need to do, or you can just press our nifty little button here called Auto Plan. Just know that this calculation can take a little bit. The system's thinking, it's doing what it does, and it's starting to calculate how much do you need to roast, how much do you need to package, how much do you need to blend, grind, all of those things that go into fulfilling all of those orders for today. So you can see that the numbers showed up here. We've got 23 batches to roast. So we're in the planning page again, looking at the roast section and knowing that there's also planning steps for blending and there's planning steps for packaging, okay? In the roast, it's telling us there's 23 batches, and that for roasted pounds, it's 374, and for green weight, that's 447, okay? So this is one of those that then you can see that these all turn to green. That means that, cool, we've planned enough for demand. Down here is where you can just do a quick overview of the plan. Does it look good? Is there anything you want to adjust? Sometimes people will say, you know what, I would like to have a little bit extra. So what these things are telling us is this is the demand for today. This was your inventory that you have. To meet the demand minus the inventory, these are the batches that you need to roast. Outstanding means you won't meet, like if somebody put another order in, say, it would say outstanding if you couldn't meet the demand. Carryover is what's left over at the end of the day and would go into your inventory for tomorrow. So right now, tomorrow, we would start with 2 pounds. We have 2 pounds extra at the end of the day of this Brazil medium roast. That's what we're expecting. Now, you might say, gosh, this everyday roast is a big seller, and I see we only have 3 pounds left over, but I'd like to do more for tomorrow. I'm going to add a 20-pound batch in there, okay? I'm going to create that task. So I get to manually go in and do that, and now I know that I have 19 pounds of carryover at the end of the day. So it's nice because this is that place where you can just finesse it to what works for you at this moment. You can adjust it. If you have constant batch sizes, this is a place where you will end up having more carryover just because the system is set up to try to get to close to 0 as possible. But if you have constant batch sizes, you'll just end up, by the nature of that, having a little bit more carryover, which is fine because all of that carryover the next day goes into that inventory is worked into making sure that we use that to fulfill the demand. We're going to go back up to the top here. I just added another task in roasting, so that didn't change anything in my plan. But we're going to go to blend next. These are the tasks and the weight you have in blend. You can do the same thing if you want any additional blends on hand. And then if we get to package, and say that you want some extra 12-ounce bags here of this breakfast blend. It's maybe that time of year, that you're going to have some extra sales. You're going to want, and I'm going to do a big number because sometimes we have a lot of inventory here. And so I'm going to say you want 60 extra bags, okay? And what happens to this is a lot of times when we're planning, and you can see here, there's lots of pages here of all of it. You can see here that it went to 7, okay? I'm looking at 7. It went to red. This means all of a sudden, hold on, you haven't planned enough to meet the demand that you've put in here, because we adjusted that in packaging, which means we didn't roast enough coffee yet to put in that package. So we're going to have to go back to roast, and we can just press auto plan again, and it will automatically just redo those calculations to know that we do roast enough for this. Okay, so that's just something good to know, that if you adjust it and it turns red, And it does take a minute or so to update. Just also know that. If you adjust it and it turns red, that's what you need to do to get back to it being green. Again, if we go to packaging, other things that are nice to do, you can make sure to look at only packages with demand. Because otherwise, before it said like 7 pages, but if that's just all of the different products you might do. But these filters, they're really helpful to look at some of the different filters. So this is where you're looking at those tasks. And again, you could adjust here if you wanted. I'm just going to do a refresh. This should show us. We get to that roast page. These are, again, we went from scheduling to count to plan. Okay. Okay, and now you can see that everything went green, and we've increased some of the numbers here, and we have now planned to meet all the demand, including the adjusted packaging. Okay, so just as a reminder, we've gone through the schedules, the count, and the planning state tasks. The next thing that we're going to talk about in part 2 is tasks. Before we hop over to there, I'm also just going to mention about this dashboard. The dashboard is pretty handy. You can scroll down all the way to the bottom. It's good to know you can click on most anything. So if you want to look at your inventory of your pre-blends, you can click here and it will take you to that. This is a page where you can manage your inventory. It's a little different than the count page because it is not based on what you have demand of today. On the count page, we also don't look at green coffee. So if you want to adjust your green coffee, you can do that from here. I just want to make sure that everybody knows that. This is a great spot. You can see the overview of your tasks. We just planned. This is telling us all the things we need to do. We can see on this dashboard that everything's green. If it was red, you could click into it and take a look and just redo that auto plan as well. And it's telling us we still have 31 orders to fulfill and 3 items ready to ship. So, the system is meant for numerous people to be in it at the same time. So if you have one person that roasts, another person that helps with the packaging and fulfillment, they can both be in there looking at things, and it's meant for that, and that's why everyone should have their own login. Everyone complete their tasks. It'll help with accountability and just making sure that it's clear when people know what they need to do, which is what we'll dive into in our next video talking about tasks.